What's going on, everybody? Mike here, and in this video I want to go into everything you should know before you decide to buy Black Myth Wukong, if you haven't already, that is. And we are a week away from this game dropping to everyone out there for the public to get their hands on it. So let's dig into the details here of what you should know. Now, for anybody who might be worried, the game has already been confirmed as gone gold. It's basically fully completed outside of maybe like a day one patch and post-launch support, basically, that's going to happen with this game. And something that did get confirmed by Game Science is DLC will be coming to this game after launch. So the devs did confirm that as well when I was doing some research. And then, of course, I know this has been sort of a mixed topic here. The game will not have difficulty options, and the devs have confirmed that the difficulty is going to be somewhat akin to like a Star Wars Jedi in terms of how challenging it's going to be. But well, I honestly have to wait and see once it's in our hands to see how actually challenging it is. So there is a quote-unquote physical edition coming, but it's without a disc. The devs are just like, we're just not going to do a disc, at least for now. This could change. This is an indie title as well, keep that in mind. So a lot of indie developed games, most of the time without enough backing, like financially or resources, go the digital route initially, and then sometimes we'll do a actual true physical edition in the future. But yeah, as of right now, no physical disc for the so-called physical edition. And this is releasing on PS5 and PC, guys. Keep that in mind, via Steam. And also it's going to be on a Steam Deck as well, too. It will not be launched on Xbox. I'm sorry, Xbox players. They're going to have to wait a few months at least due to some like optimization issues for Xbox and things related to that. And we recently had the final trailer for Black Myth Wukong, and I want to break down some elements from that as well, too. Talking about some things I noticed, more detail. After, re-looking at it, I did my initial impressions of it, the video recently, check that out. But yeah, let's dig into this from the final trailer stuff, as well as a bit of other information. And in case you don't know, Black Myth Wukong is an upcoming third-person action RPG set to be released on the 20th of August, which I mentioned before, we are a week away from its release. The game has a combat system similar to Souls games, but with its own unique twists. Its lore heavily draws inspiration from the novel Journey to the West, and has elements of Chinese mythology. In the final trailer, it was showcased, different biomes and its inhabitants, as well as new transformations of Wukong, and several bosses. Some cool stuff here, as the final trailer is showing off first, is like a shrine built on a cliffside, panning out to a desert area surrounded by numerous mountains. And then next location was like a lush forest area with an inhabitant sitting by the cliff. The third area seems to be a shrine dedicated to deities and historical figures in Black Myth Wukong's world. While the fourth area seems to be a Buddhist temple carved on a mountaintop. Then the fifth area shown in the final trailer is a temple-like structure located in a mountainous region. These locations show the mountainous geography of the East and Central Asia. And this is staying faithful to the setting of its source material. We gotta look at new transformations. We already kind of knew about some of the transformations before that Wukong could do, but now we got a wolf-like form that Wukong can do with a flaming staff. Then a second form where Wukong is a slow-moving creature carrying a heavy sack of skulls. But this form's been shown off before, while being slow in movement speed and probably the slowest, has defensive property, or at least maybe multiple defensive properties, basically, that you can use against your enemies. But the AoE is pretty small. The third form, Wukong seems to have slug-like features in this form, but still maintain a humanoid form. It has these tentacle-like features on its hand being utilized as a backhand blade type of thing, possibly having toxin imbued on it. The final trailer also shows a glimpse into one of the form's abilities, a Toxin Blast, that damages nearby enemies, which also staggers Wukong for a short duration. But the fourth form, Wukong is shown to have long tentacles that he uses not only for attacking in a wide radius, but also for maneuvering quickly to dodge the enemy's attacks. As for the fifth form that's shown in the final trailer, Wukong shapeshifts into a your son creature, wielding a sword backwards, fighting a giant spider boss in its web-filled lair. Also showcases the form's power of using an element of fire for its attacks. Now, I like this shot here. We get a wide shot of a temple in the middle of a frozen lake and Wukong meditating by the dock. Now, this area seems to be the area of a boss fight from, previous gameplay, showing off like a big white silver-looking dragon that comes down from the sky. Then we seem to have, Wukong's companions, or at least one companion in particular, shown off, where there is a fox-like creature fanning a bonfire, a mysterious masked person, and an old man carrying a big gourd behind his back. Now, this is only speculation on my part of these possibly being companions, but I think the old man at least is gonna be his main companion possible. These three could be Tang Zhongzhang and his two disciples, Zhu and Sha, which are characters from the novel, or within the novel, and Wukong himself is a disciple of Tang, along with Zhu and Sha, and they are on a journey to retrieve Buddhist scriptures. So this story would probably be part of the game, since the devs have stated that it is inspired by the novel. In one particular part of the trailer, there is like a portal that opens up, which could be to another, either zone area, even maybe another dimension, or even time travel, but this also could be fast travel as well. There are various NPCs shown off in the trailer. Some are most likely bosses that you'll encounter in the game. And speaking on bosses, I've mentioned before in previous videos, but basically you can make the bosses harder in a sense by essentially unlocking their second phase, but that is determined by how fast you beat them. So essentially, if you beat them in their first phase really quick, then you see their second phase. This isn't for every single boss in the game. This is only for certain bosses. A frenzied monkey is briefly shown, along with a large-headed Buddhist monk with gray bluish skin being absorbed by a small gourd owned by Wukong. This could be the purple gold red gourd in the novel, which is owned by the Golden Horned King and Silver Horned King in the novel. It is said to be a powerful gourd that sucks anyone that speaks before it, melting them into a stew. This could be a preview of how Wukong obtains the different forms of his fallen enemies, allowing him to shapeshift and mimic the physical traits and abilities of his foes. Combat seems to be fast and fluid, with different game mechanics allowing Wukong to, do dodges and lunging attacks, as well as use his staff to go up in the air for a bit and come back down, whacking enemies with it basically in different ways. Wukong can also parry enemy attacks with flashy animations, similar to longsword parries in Monster Hunter. There also seems to be sneak mechanics. Aside from Wukong transforming into different bosses he defeats, Wukong can also shapeshift to a tree to hide from a giant Buddha statue-like creature walking around in a winter location of the game. So this could be a mechanic to avoid some unnecessary conflict or hard fights in the game, as Wukong could mimic different inanimate objects in his surrounding to not be noticed by enemies. This is one of Wukong's well-known abilities, staying true to the game's source material. And this game is not short on bosses. There was a ton of bosses shown off in the final trailer. But what's probably the most intriguing thing to me personally out of all this that was shown off is the 4 powerful entities that are shown, each wielding a different weapon and having control of the weather. This I originally could think of being possibly, the gods or deities that essentially like knocked Wukong off his pedestal in a sense, for him to go on this journey in the first place. But after doing some research, these entities are the 4 heavenly kings, deities that watch over each of the cardinal directions. The heavenly king of east wields a pipa, a Chinese traditional musical instrument. The heavenly king of the south wields a sword. The heavenly king of the west holds a snake, and the heavenly king of the north wields an umbrella. And then there are stats effects that will be a part of the game we've seen so far with fire and poison. Not too sure about anything else, but so far those are the 2 ones we have seen in the gameplay shown off thus far. Freeze could possibly be another one as well, among others. And previously we've seen that Wukong can transform into a cicada to fly through certain sections, but he can also transform into a fox to sprint through, certain areas as well too. Fire ring spell. So at the end you saw that Wukong and the old man character were just talking, but it was kind of humorous a bit. Funny how this enemy couldn't get in because the fire ring was around them, protecting them. And this same spell was seen during gameplay we've seen before used in combat. It turns out it's similar effect in this place as well. Then there's a counter skill, which we already know that Wukong can parry, right? But in dodge, he doesn't have a block, so you will have to jump over attacks or dodge them basically, and then there should be a parry mechanic you unlock as well too, or even a perfect dodge possibly in the game that you can utilize. So very cool stuff there to know, guys. And yeah, just to reiterate, the devs are not trying to treat this as a Souls-like. They don't want you to call it a Souls-like. This is more in line with like a boss rush style type of game. Very mission based, very kind of similar to Neo 1 and 2 in terms of being very mission based in that regard, and just kind of just going into the bosses once you're progressing enough in the level basically. And this is definitely an action RPG with prominent boss fights, limited health restoration, and the expectation that you're going to be dying and returning to the same brutal battles several times before it's all said and done. But I was wondering if it's going to come to Game Pass when it does drop on Xbox. As of right now, it does not appear as an upcoming game on Xbox Game Pass or PC Game Pass. And Game Science has not said anything about Game Pass one way or the other. And lastly, I want to talk about the additions that are available for Black Myth: Wukong when it comes to all the platforms it's on. There's the standard at $60, and then the digital deluxe edition at $70. With the digital deluxe, you get the full game. You also get a bronze cloud staff, weapon, folk opera mask, which is equipment, folk opera almost giving armor, folk opera leather bracers, folk opera buskins, curio wind chimes, and a digital soundtrack. And there you have it. So when it comes to my final thoughts on this, I think that this is going to be an amazing game, regardless whether it's got Souls-like elements or not, or more of an action RPG in the vein of like either Star Wars Jedi or Sekiro in some regards, or things like that. So I'm hyped for it. This is one of 2024's most anticipated games, and it's from a indie dev, Game Science. So indie games this year have been shining more than ever, and double A's as well too, more than triple A's in my opinion. And I would not be mad if this gets at least a nomination for Game of the Year come Game Awards. So let me know your thoughts on this, guys. Love to hear from you. Does this make you more excited already? Do you already got it pre-ordered? Are you going to wait for a sale? Let me know. I'm definitely going to be getting this game, though. I can't wait to play it. If you found this video helpful and enjoyed it, please hit that thumbs up. It helps out a ton. Subscribe if you're new. Don't forget to check out the links in the description below, whether you want to check me out on Twitch. Went out stream there. If you want to go above and beyond with support, becoming a patron today, or the YouTube memberships, lots of good perks there, guys, to check out. So consider doing that today. My name's Mike. Thanks for watching.